Hey everyone, it's Will, Gamer Dad, with another video for you. So in this video we're going to take down the other super boss here, Kudang. Now if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel, I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So this boss has a fixed 5-turn rotation, and for those who don't know, you can either end it with a large 2-turn AF as long as you have a hold ground feature. Grasta. And the reason for that is if you do kill it prematurely, before you've killed off all 6 of its mobs, it'll do basically an AoE non-mitigatable attack for multi-thousands, which will wipe your team. And so as long as you have a hold ground badge, you'll be able to survive it and do that large 100 million HP AF, and you should win the battle. That being said, I want to test the limits of our defense and see if we can wear it down, kill all 6 mobs, and then end the boss itself. So notice that we're starting with a 2-turn AF, and if you watch what I'm casting in the AF, I am casting Elemental Barrier from Radius as well as Guardian Soul. And you'll actually need both of those as a defense in order for you to survive turn 5. So turn 1 is a 50 MP drain. Turn 2 is essentially a fixed single target physical attack. And then turn 3 is going to be a fire AoE from the boss, moderate damage. Turn 4 is a setup, and then turn 5 is a super mega AoE. If you don't protect against it, over 40,000 damage for sure. The mobs have its own fixed rotation, and the first turn is essentially a water AoE. Second turn is a lock move. Third turn is a sleep attack, and then I don't usually leave it for 4 turns. So the whole strategy is to do a fixed rotation, try to end these little mobs with Quattro Drive, as well as control the situation using Judgment to help speed, int, and power down, therefore taking less damage. You will need a debuff as well in order for you to survive that turn 5 move. And so the turn 4 move you can see is the Prophecy of Doom, which is the setup. And note that we do have all the shields up, and so we're going to rotate everyone to the back, let OG Annabelle tank the hit for us, the OG tanker. I mean, there have been newer tanks such as Bertrand, and even Radius can tank, but let's be honest. Look at that. 0 HP damage from the super boss. And like I said, you usually see 40k damage, and you can try it for yourself if you don't believe me. Anyways, now that we have the fixed 5 rotation reset, note that turn 1 is going to be the 50 MP drain again, and we're going to actually rotate all our offensive members back in. And the goal is not to end the battle here. The goal is just to end the mobs as quickly as we can, and then find a window to set up a large AF and win the game. So in this case, we're just going to activate another AF. I know it's not going to be efficient. We've actually lost Radius to a sleep attack from the mobs, but we're just going to kill the mob right there, do a little bit more damage. We can do some setups here. We can cast the Guardian Soul just to make sure that it lasts 3 turns through the turn 5 super move. Don't worry that Radius should wake up the next turn and be able to cast Elemental Barrier for us. Again, that is essentially a 50% type shield, which is same as Aurora Force, except it lasts 3 turns instead of 2. So if you do have Radius, it's going to make this fight a lot easier than using Crest if you're doing the long game. Otherwise, you will have to change your rotation, rotate in Marrow, and make sure you cast the Aurora Force since it only lasts 2 turns, either on turn 3 or turn 4. And keep in mind that on turn 5, when the super AoE comes, you'll have to rotate her to the back. She will not be able to survive the hit. And I did play test that a few times, and yeah, only Annabelle is reliably able to survive. But note here, as you watch the battle, if you keep the debuffs on, like even the Shackled Demon doesn't do a lot of damage. Kudang, other than turn 5, doesn't do a lot of damage either. It's more, the mobs are quite annoying, especially with the move lock. It can actually interrupt your AF, and I'll show you that later on in this video. This was actually a little bit annoying, and it actually made the fight a lot longer than it should be. Okay, so another mob is down. One last thing I forgot to mention. If you have killed a mob and there's no mobs that turn, the boss will summon another one until all 6 have been summoned, after which it will stop summoning and there's nothing else it can do other than do its fixed 5-turn rotation. Okay, turn 4 has ended. Prophecy of Doom has now been cast. We are now waiting for turn 5, and we do have Holy Saber up. Again, not only for defense because a lot of the moves are magical, we also do regain MP, and MP will be concerned with longer battles. So if you do use Holy Saber, it will recover 50 MP when you get hit by magical attacks, which are most of the attacks out there. Also, you will have Mariel to cast Pure Cradle, which will also generate 20 MP per turn, not to mention, obviously, recovering your HP if needed. If you watch, though, for the most of the fight, I actually don't take a lot of damage. Let's be honest, Annabelle doesn't take a lot to start with, and being that we can always use Guardian Soul to have some regen as well, it helps a lot. In this case, we're going to activate another AF, not the most efficient. Keep in mind that with Radius, to have her have the most benefit, you have to have one turn where you did a bunch of slash attacks, and then she kind of has that end of turn power boost or attack boost for your team. When you just rotate her in, and the turn before you only had one slash from Annabelle, really doesn't boost the team. And if you're wondering why we're doing so little damage, that's the reason for that. I will say that in future tries, if I wanted to redo this again, I could be a little bit more efficient. Maybe open the window more where you have one turn, do a full, a bunch of attacks, and then unleash a large AF. In this case, honestly, it's my first attempt on trying to beat this boss, and so I really just wanted to film it, beat it for you guys, and hope you guys are enjoying a little bit different strategy. Again, I will say that with the new updates, especially with the new Grasta, it looks like everything's becoming extremely overpowered, and the fact that you can even 2-turn 100 million HP bosses is pretty ridiculous. One other thing to note, if you're wondering this team setup, I could use other characters as well, but I did want to experience this update like Japan did, that is no tails of characters and certainly no hold ground badge. And for those who did use it, no problem at all. I would say that would be the much easier way to beat it, and at the end of the day, you just want to beat it for the gold badge, the achievement, as well as the chronostones. For myself, since I'm late to the game, I mean, hey, I'm sure you guys want me to impress you with some different skill sets and some different movesets. After all, everyone else can... you've watched so many other videos, I'm sure, and I don't want to bore you with doing the same old thing that everyone else has been doing. So I hope that this video does entertain you, and hopefully you learn a few things as well. Okay, so again, we just survived the turn 5 super AoE. Everyone's in the back. We take 0 or 1 HP damage from Annabelle, and we're here to set up yet another AF. Okay, again, we are unfortunate. Radius has now fallen asleep. Keep in mind that she is always getting targeted because when she comes in from VC, she is raging the whole enemy. So that does allow our DPS to still be alive and kicking and awake. And so we just slash that thing down and then focus the rest of our attacks on the Kudang boss itself. Note that again, whenever I activate an AF during the first turn after the MP drain, I always cast Guardian Soul, therefore making sure that I'm well set and ready for turn 5 super AoE. I will remind you that you will need a 50% type shield plus a power slash int down plus a 30+% physical shield to even have a chance of surviving. Also keep in mind that the turn 5 AoE is fire based. Annabelle is a water type unit and has 30% natural fire resistance, so I think that would also make a large difference. I believe that you can also use Sophia if you really wanted to tank some hits. She is a slash user, although she's not really offensive. It's very similar to Annabelle. I find that Annabelle would be better if you do have her, being that you do have access to the Holy Saber, which helps regenerate the MP. Obviously, you have the Deliverance Sword if you need to the power down, which you can see I haven't really used it. I use it as my spam move, but otherwise, no, I don't really find that that's useful. Okay, so one more round of the Prophecy of Doom. Note that this battle is a lot longer than a short 2 or 3 turn AF, and keep in mind that the longer a battle is, the more chance of messing up. And I actually did mess up a few times before filming this rotation for you. If I didn't have all my shields and debuffs up, then you will die, and that's the end of it. Okay, it looks like I believe I've ended all 6 mobs here. So the real strategy here is to rotate everyone back in, kind of set up and try to kill the boss before turn 5. Because again, if there's no mobs left, really all you're worried about is the turn 5 kill. You have 4 turns to build up a full bar, and then end the battle right there and then. Keep in mind that since the boss does have no HP stopper, and the boss has about 100 million HP, you will have to estimate and see how much your team can do and make sure you don't, obviously mess up and get killed on the turn 5 AoE. We're going to bring in our good friend Thillalili here and use our full offensive team. And actually, after the recording, I noticed that I did kind of mess up the way I pressed the moves. I actually lost a couple of seconds in terms of setting up our moves. And like I said earlier before, I really should have one turn here where I did 4 full attacks, thereby radius boosting everyone at the end of turn by 60%, and then the following turn unleash a large AF. Keep in mind here, I only have a barely half bar AF, so I will say this was a very inefficient way of using the AF here. I should have ended it the next turn, and so I do apologize for extending the video a lot longer than I should have. That being said, it's all a learning experience, and it's also a nice way of showcasing Thillalili. Even, not fully optimally set up, she still can do multi-millions per hit. And there is the second turn physical attack. No problem at this point. We have no mobs to worry about. Remember that the third turn is an AoE fire attack. We're just going to attack straight out and build our bar here, because really, after the next turn 5 rotation, we will have another half or 3/4 bar, and we'll end the fight for sure at that point. I mean, Elga and Renri OG with Manifest, they are monsters in the slash DPS, and the fact that they're non-elemental really helps in enemies who are resistant to certain elements. And I believe this enemy is actually resistant to multiple elements except for water. Now note that I know that with Lunatic active, Thillalili's physical and magical defense is pretty low, but I guess with the fact that we have so many debuffs on the enemy, actually she did survive that, which is actually very surprising. Normally she just takes thousands and dies, so that's another cool thing I found out while doing this video. Anyways, keep on slashing away, keep on shielding up. In this case, remember that I do need a 50% type shield, and I needed the physical shield and the power int down, and I did all that. It is fading next turn, but no problem. Turn 1 is going to be a 50 MP drain, no attack anyway, so it won't matter. We'll rotate everyone back in, and we'll just do one final major attack here. Okay, so bringing back Renri just to be safe. We have Elga, of course. We have Radius establishing slash, well, kind of gaining the power here. We're going to do one turn here where we're going to do our attacks and setup. So we're going to do the defensive judgment, I believe. We're going to apply additional debuffs with Sword of Hope. Binary drive to set up more speed to boost and guarantee the pain, so we can do maximum damage with our Pain Grasta. And we're going to end it right here on the next turn. I know that Annabelle's DPS isn't that strong, and she only does single hits, but I trust in the power of Elga and Renri, and also having Radius. Remember, we just did 4 slash attacks, so everyone's boosted by 60%, and we're just going to lay the smackdown on the enemy and see if we can end it right here. I believe we can. I know I'm only using a crappy spinning edge attack on Radius, but the fact that it's non-elemental 2 times hit, and it's an AoE, it's actually not that bad. And the fact that the fire enemy is resistant to fire, you might as well just bring a non-elemental attack. So there you go, 20 million damage, and at the end of the battle, note that it does do 666 HP damage, even though all 6 ghosts were down. If you don't kill them, like I said, you will take multi-thousands and you will die. So hey, not too bad. A little bit longer than expected, but I get a gold award, and it pushed me to 200 gold awards actually, which is additional bonus for more stones to summon for more bots and Rainbow Sisters. As usual, here's my loadout. I have not upgraded any of the Grasta to the newest enhanced Grasta. I actually wanted to still see if the old system was enough to deal enough damage to end the battle. And surprisingly, I did actually use Mariel as much. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.